Josh Warrington, two-time featherweight world champion.
This moment in time, it's the biggest fight of my career.
What's the plan?
Watch on the 21st of February. I don't want him to see the final bell. I found it quite easy to just box him and out-jab him, and I should have been allowed to continue.
You are a family man.
My girls don't want to talk about boxing, they want to talk about K-pop demon hunters.
Your dad, Sean.
There's been moments when we've fallen out during camp and stuff. A younger Josh Warrington would be arguing with folk on social media about your sport, it takes a lot from you. Bad days are going to come. I'm just like anyone else.
So what does being a champion mean to you? We're delighted today to be joined by Josh Warrington, two-time featherweight world champion. He's got a huge reputation in the boxing industry and is known and renowned as one of the best British boxers to come out in recent times. Today, we're going to be talking to Josh about his upcoming fight with Leigh Wood. It's a rematch. There's been a huge amount of talk about this rematch and how Josh feels in the running up to this fight as he prepares to step back into the ring with Leigh Wood. The next thing that we're going to talk about is our partnership, Dortech's partnership with Josh Warrington, and why Josh has selected Dortech as a partner and what the Dortech brand means to Josh as well. So Josh isn't just an exceptional fighter, he's also a very good friend as well, and we're absolutely delighted to have Josh here with us today. It's great that you're on board, Josh.
Thanks for having me, and listen, I'm excited to have you guys going into, a massive fight. I'm excited to have you behind me and supporting us. So it's going to be a good fight because I know that yourself and the Dortech team have been anticipating this fight for a long time. But yeah, when we get that arm raised in Nottingham, it's going to be even more so special with you guys being there celebrating it with me.
Thank you very much. Over the last 12 months, in fact, I think you mentioned it was nearly 2 years now.
Yes. Yeah.
The Leigh Wood's effectively left you hanging.
Yeah.
And obviously you were ready to jump straight back into the ring for a rematch.
Yeah.
So can you talk to how that time period has affected you outside the boxing ring? Yeah,
I think it's frustrating. Rewind for first 11 years of my career. I got to 2020 and then I was 13-0 and that's ranked number one in the world and ranked in the top 10 of all the divisions in the world and the pound for pound rankings. And I did that by being active. Then the pandemic happened and put sport and businesses on a hold worldwide. Then when I did come back, I'd have a few little bumps in the road, but managed to get myself back to a world champion. Then, lost a belt under some circumstances what I didn't think were right. And then, the fight with Leigh was building for some time. And I didn't return to the ring until 10 months later. So a bit of an inactivity there. A fight where people after were saying I was absolutely bossing. People were saying they hadn't seen me as good as that since the likes of being Carl Frampton or Lee Selby. They said I was boxing unbelievably well until that round 7 incident happened.
It was incredibly controversial, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Watching it on the replay, it's very clear the bell had actually rung.
Yeah.
So anyone in your situation would have quite rightly turned to the corner at that stage.
Yeah.
So as a spectator, trying to be impartial here, I was personally quite shocked that the ref took the decision to do what he did at that time. But you can't, unfortunately, rewind time and you can't appeal these types of things.
No.
But obviously that's something that you've been carrying with you and you need to set the record straight. So knowing this and having that on your mind, it must have been incredibly difficult over this time period.
Well, I think that's the point I'm just trying to make there. I think when you start waiting in the wings and they were talking about a rematch almost instantly. And the build up to the fight was quite amicable, but the fight was an exciting fight and the Sheffield was sold out. The rematch was only going to be bigger. It was only going to be bigger because it captured more people's imagination who weren't there in the fight. Maybe not interested in the first fight, but they've seen what happened. They've seen how we've both been carrying on with each other on social media. They've seen like the ending. So people would have attracted more eyes, and for whatever reason, it didn't happen. Now, is it all fully down to Leigh? I can't really say so, but you know, did he want the fight as bad as I wanted it? I don't think so. I don't think so. I feel like it's happened 2 years later because he's in a position where he's got nowhere else to go. I mean, he has said that he could have gone down other roads and different options, but I don't believe that. And a lot of people are saying, have asked me, why do you keep going on about the rematch? I'm like, just because I wouldn't want to finish my career with that on my that blemish on my record. You know, I don't believe that he's as good as me. I don't believe he's better than me, and I believe that on most days I beat him quite comfortably, as I was doing, and I just want to put that to bed. And it's funny because you have, you know, it's not the first loss I've had on the record. You know, I've lost it to, you know, a couple of Mexicans, and then, you know, in Lee Shaw's and Anthony Kakachi over in Belfast, but they don't hurt as much as the ones with Leigh.
I think the circumstances.
Maybe the circumstances, maybe because of the way that he's conducted himself. I acted on social media, and like I say, after, maybe because he's, you know, not a million miles away, just down the road in Nottingham. So yeah, but it's on, and we're here.
Good.
And you know, a lot of frustrations over the last 2 years, I've been able to use as motivation, and you know, you shouldn't always rely on the motivation, but I've got bags of it, James. I've got bags of it what I can turn into fuel for training and staying focused on getting the job done.
So from a boxing perspective, one of the things that I can commend you on, because I've been a long-term fan, is that you've always been very gentlemanly. You've always had very strong morals and standards.
Yeah.
And certainly with the first fight, in the run-up and also post-fight, you were very civil with Leigh, and very mature in terms of how you handled media presence and how you responded to things. Leigh wasn't quite the same way, was he?
No, it wasn't. I mean, in the build-up, there wasn't really much needle there, shall we say, because I think boxing's a pantomime at times. It's a drama, and you know, people like handbags and drama, don't they? We have national soaps about it. You know, it's been running for many, many years. But people want to see a bit of hatred and a bit of nastiness, and even the nicest of people, you know, get them excited. But I've never been one to force it or act it. You know, it's what you see is what you get with me. So, you know, there was no hatred there prior. And my frustration was come after the fight. And all I ever did was answer questions. You know, do you believe that you should have been stopped, Josh? No, I don't. I was up at the count of 4. I got to my corner and I turned round at 8. I should have been allowed to continue. You know, I was winning the fight comfortably on all judges' scorecards. I'd have still been in front by a few rounds, you know, even if it had been a 10-7 round. So, and that's all I've ever done is answer the questions, you know, and Leigh's seen my response and thought that I've not given him credit. But never has he. He's never come out and said, oh, you know what, I was losing the fight. No, he could have turned around and said, you know what, I'm losing the fight. But a champion's mentality just constantly believes he's going to win. You know, Josh was boxing my head off, but I found a punch, and that's what champions do. And, you know, that's that. And I think I'd probably give him more respect there. But all he has done since the fight is talk about, I was all part of the game plan. We knew Josh was going to make these mistakes. We knew we were going to do that. Impact has done this, that, and the other. And like it were all meant to happen like that, James.
Yeah.
It's like you never anticipated that I was going to get a point deducted in the 7th round. You never anticipated that I was going to start going a bit reckless because of that. Because up until that point, I'd have just carried on doing what we're doing. I'd have just carried on boxing. But, you know, apparently Mystic Leigh knew that was going to happen. So, yeah.
I mean, funnily enough, when you did the face-to-face thing, Leigh did actually say at the time that he believes in the rematch, that you're going to continue as you were and you're just going to present him with opportunities. How do you respond to a comment like that?
Yeah, it's something that, you know, I'm not new to. You know, I've built fighters over the years. I mean, famously, Lee Selby said that he could write my boxing IQ on the back of a postage stamp. So, but then, you know, this is somebody who they call himself the Welsh Mayweather, but he would get and he said again, I quote, he said, we're going to be bopping my head back and forward like Noddy. But it was
that didn't happen.
But it was his head who were backing,
exactly.
You know. And I think over the years, the persona of Josh Warrington, or the makeup of Josh Warrington is like, he's got his fans behind him, and he's loud and he's brash, and he's got a big engine, but no one really talks about the boxing side. No one really talks about, you know, the times when I'm moving well on my feet, or, you know, I'm just outboxing people. They always go straight to the times of when he stole Carl Frampton in the first couple of rounds, or when, you know, he's getting in exchanges with Leigh and he's like pushing him back. You know, I do feel like I have a range of qualities.
I mean, it can't be denied. I mean, I see the Carl Frampton fight is probably one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life.
Thank you.
And no one can dispute like the ring IQ that you bring into the boxing ring. It's absolutely phenomenal. So when you see and you hear comments which, you know, seem quite primitive from Leigh Wood's side, that must really rile you. But how do you use that in a constructive way?
Well, I think I'm at a stage now where I'm 16 years a professional boxer. You know, I've like they say, been number one in the world, 2-time world champion. I've won everything there is to win in terms of belts and stuff. You know, you've built a bit of experience and a thick skin. I mean, I've been headlining shows since 2014, so over 10 years. But that you're always going to be subject to criticism then.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's of opponents or whether it's off the boxing media or whether it's off the just Joe public, people are always going to have their opinion of you. And over the years, you know, there's been moments when it has affected me, but again, you learn to deal with it over years, and I've learned to turn bits and bats of criticism or, you know, opinions of people into motivation.
Yeah.
You know, I can't. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and I can't change their opinion. But if anything, James, it gives me fuel to fire to prove you wrong. You know, if when people say you can't do this, you can't do that, you know, you can't punch, blah blah blah. Well, let's see his face after the fight's finished. You know,
so you take it into the gym and you use it constructively.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, I don't want to waste energy about moaning, because I used to. A younger Josh Warrington would, like, you know, be arguing with folk on social media about, you know, trying to put my point across and why I'm right and why they're wrong, but it's pointless.
One of the rules: never read social media comments.
Maybe, well, unless you want, maybe so, but unless you can turn that into fuel. And like I say, for many yeres, I mean, I'm a scenario where I went to go see the late Ricky Hatton and asking him about some advice, and, you know, saying that, like, it may be different from the times of when he were coming through, because social media wasn't really about. But even in his, you know, in post career, he would still get bits and bats of flack on social media. So everyone's subject to it. Yeah, everyone's subject to it. But
there's always a keyboard warrior.
There is always, and it's funny enough because I've never come to a face-to-face with these people.
Yeah, exactly.
In real life.
Exactly.
But I've had many over the years. But yeah, like I say, over years, I've learned to just, you know, not get worked up by it and just use it as fuel.
Brilliant. So over the years, you built amassed this huge following and loyalty from Leeds United fans.
Yeah.
Right. Going to Nottingham, obviously there's going to be a little bit of tension there. But how does that make you feel, being the away fighter?
Yeah. When
you go down to Nottingham on the 21st of February?
Well, I'd like to just say, not just Leeds United fans, Leeds fans, Leeds people in general, people from Yorkshire, and, you know, people come from all over the country to support me, and sometimes I don't realise that because the emphasis is always put on, like, me fighting in the first Direct arena in Leeds, and, you know, because I walk up to match on together. But a fine example was when I boxed at Edinley Stadium, and we had 20,000 people there. And on the day and post fight, I bumped into so many people, staying in different hotels who come down from like Scotland and up from London, so. There's a lot of them said to me, "Hey, don't forget that you have got support, elsewhere, outside Leeds." But I think there's a select few that have been there since day one, and will continue to support me, and very, very grateful to have that kind of support, because I do remember the times of like when I first started coming through. There was times when I'd have 10 people come to watch me fight, so. It seems weird.
Times have changed.
Yeah, it seems weird to think that like, it's a norm to have 10,000 people there. But going into his backyard, it won't be no problem for myself, because for majority of my from first stage of my career, I was always on the road, James. I won my first title in someone else's backyard, and there were 1,500 people there, not 15,000. But for that stage of my career, it was still nerve-wracking for me. But if anything, I use that for fuel. So when I was getting booed walking to the ring, and getting booed when I got in the ring, all these, lads.
There's a lot of dynamics.
Yeah, of course. And the same with when I won one of my first major titles, the Commonwealth title. That was on Sky, and that was same. I was in lad's backyard there, and I ended up stopping the guy, getting my first stoppage as a professional boxer. So listen, it's when I'm fighting at Leeds and when I'm fighting at home, I know how to use that as fuel. As the fight goes into late stages. But in the same breath, if someone's against me, I know also how to use it as fuel. And when I boxed Carl Frampton in Manchester, coming up to 7 years ago now, the Manchester arena divided 50-50. There were 10,000 Leeds fans in there, 10,000 Carl Frampton fans in there, and there were moments of the fight where my fans were on their feet and screaming and shouting, and I was fueled with that. But then there were moments when Carl would have a bit of a comeback, and in his side of the arena would start like getting on the feet and screaming and shouting. But in the same breath as that happening, it gave me a little adrenaline spike.
Absolutely,
just to say like, right, you don't get too giddy, and make me put the foot on the gas and just sharpen me up a little bit more.
Fantastic. So you see it as a positive thing.
Of course, mate.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So as a fighter, you're known for your relentless pressure, an incredible energy, not just at the start of the fight, but all the way through all 12 rounds. So what type of boxer can your fans expect to see on the 21st of February? What Josh Warrington's going to do?
I'm on Boxer Tricks as well, James, because I don't think any of them were expecting me to be outboxing him the way that was, like prior to the first Leigh Wood fight. I mean, the fight before that, I'd boxed Luis Alberto Lopez, and I'd been a bit slow in the face after some rounds, and then I kind of finished the last stage of the fight like a madman, just trying to chase him down and stuff. Fight before that, I'd stopped Kiko Martinez with relentless pressure. So probably they were expecting that again with Leigh, but I found it quite easy to just box him and out jab him, and I was just taking what was in front of me. Obviously we've got game plans, and we've got moments of what to do when he does this, but I'm experienced enough to make adjustments with me, myself and my old man in the team in the corner.
So you're not giving any tricks away?
No, not giving any tricks away, but one thing that I don't want him to see final bell.
Yeah.
I don't want him to see the final bell.
I don't think you will, but
I'll just say that.
So you've been a two-time world champion. You've headlined some absolutely huge events. So on a scale of things, what does this next fight mean to you?
I mean, it's at this moment in time, it's the biggest fight of my career. So obviously you've got a lot riding on it. I mean, the promoters constantly bang on about there's nowhere else to go for the next fight. But I've been screaming and shouting for this for 2 years now. I need to make sure that them screams and them shouts have been worth something. Yeah. Why have I been doing so? Because I don't believe he's better than me, and I want to prove that I can beat him up, and that's what I have to do. Yeah. So I know that that's a bit of pressure there, but at the same time, it excites me, James. You know, when there's moments when I'm in the gym and in between rounds, and I'm putting my body through well, and I'm trying to grasp some air, but then I'll just think of like a sort of moment, and then all of a sudden just recenter yourself, and you know why you're doing it. And you want to push a bit harder. So yeah, it's like for myself and going forward, and whatever I want to do and continue, if I wanted to carry on and achieve a goal of becoming a 3-time world champion, it starts here. So it has to be a win, not just a win. I need to look good doing it.
Convincing.
Yeah.
So is that the aspiration after this?
Well, it's again, you judge a lot of your last fight. And obviously, a lot of people don't realise that I had to come back in April. And if they look at my last big fight, where I'm not Kakachi, which wasn't a disgraceful fight. I got
went the distance.
Wrong side of the decision, but it wasn't a vintage Warrington.
Because you went up a weight for that.
Yeah, that's right. And it wasn't a vintage Josh Warrington, but judge him off this next one.
But Kakachi's absolutely phenomenal boxer. And
phenomenal
a
phenomenal character
huge
as well.
Respect and accolades for you.
Yeah, great guy. All the respect for him. And like I said, did what I did, like be out whistled many times, and it was a good fight. But yeah, just
the decision at the end is down to the judges, isn't it? And that's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It is subjective. So after your hand is being raised in Nottingham, Josh, on the 21st of February, you've got to be a 3-time world champion. You've got to be going for it, surely. Is that what's the plan?
Yeah, it's a plan. Like, I'd like to go back to Leeds. I'd like to go back to Leeds just to have one more fight there, just to finish that'd be like my 12th win, because obviously I lost my world title there, so thought I should have won it. But yeah, but fight number 13, my 12th win, and then for those who thought I retired, that'd be can leave it there and maybe go on the trail of eliminators. Stuff like that, and then see what. So I believe that I probably would have to fight away then. But I just repeat myself there. But people are quick to judge you off your last performance, and they will have thought, "Oh, Josh has Josh seen better days." But watch on the 21st of February, and all I'm saying, Josh is a world title pedigree again, and I believe I can do so, James. It'd be nice, listen, at one stage of my life, I would have been happy with a British title, the Lord Lonsdale belt, but I superseded that, and then Europeans and internationals and then worlds. But it's like, why not be still ambitious? And the ambition is still there.
You got to keep driving.
The fire is still there. And if it wasn't, James, the sport's too hard to do.
Yeah.
I'm an husband, I'm a dad. It's like, sport, it takes a lot from you. You can't do it if you don't have the desire to do it. If you don't want to go into the gym, if you don't want to train, if you don't want to diet, you don't want to be sacrificed, then boxing's not for you. But if I'm still willing to do all that, and I'm doing it with a smile on my face, I'm enjoying it. So I believe I can still get to the top of the mountain again.
Fantastic. And are there any particular names that you could mention after?
Give me any one of them. Give me any one of them.
All right.
Just then, I think, listen, the super featherweight division is bustling with talent. There's some great fighters up from around the world in there, but you just got to step up, and that's what excites me.
Absolutely. The one thing you mentioned actually is obviously you are a family man. You've got 3 children, and Natasha who's supported you through thick and thin. How do you find balancing all of these commitments that you have, whilst you obviously, because it consumes so much of your time when you're training and you're preparing for these fights. And then that as well.
Yeah, I think some people from the outside, we don't really go away for camp, do you? I said, and that's true. But then again, mentally, I'm not really there either. I'm not really there at home when I get into camp as it is, because there's so much pressure and there's so much going on upstairs in the grey matter that you can't really switch off. I do my best. I try my best, and I think my presence, just being at home, it always helps. And
having the love of your family.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, when going like on streets of when you're walking out and about and stuff, you know, it's people are all often going to ask you about, you know, the fight, and people just want to talk to you naturally. So you never really switch off from the boxing. But then when I get home, my girls don't want to talk about boxing. They want to talk about, you know, K-pop demon hunters and something like that, or what outfit you should wear.
I've heard about this.
And then or the missus wants to talk about, you know, like what we're going to get the kids for Christmas or stuff like that.
Yeah. That's probably quite nice to be able to snap out.
I'm just going to say, because then
I
think if I were away, I locked in like, you know, in some mountains or whatever, or, you know, away just camp with me team members, you're just going to talk about boxing. And then when you go back to your room, you're just going to talk about that. But whereas it's a welcome distraction, just to switch off a little bit. Yeah. Because even though it's still bubbling away subconsciously, just to, you know, take your mind off something a little bit. You know, let's talk about your schoolwork. Let's talk about your maths. Let's talk about you know what I mean? So I like that, mate. I like that.
And it's clear that family is a huge part of what Josh Warrington is about. You know, even down to the point that your dad Sean is your trainer. There's a phenomenal boxing brain and a huge amount of respect in the boxing industry. But how do you find that also in the run up to these events? Do you find it difficult to separate sort of family from, you know, work?
Yeah, well, certainly with my old man, I mean, that's something we've struggled with over the years, and I think anyone who's worked with family members, I know you yourself has been that, been at, you know, in that position. Yeah, it does because some things that maybe work colleagues might not say to each other, you know, bosses might not say to like their employees, they'll say to the family members, and they'll say open-heartedly, and they may be quite raw as well. Obviously, boxing is a brutal sport, but then it's a pressure cooker as well.
Of course.
And you know, there's moments when my old man is he's an old school kind of fella, but he's a proud man, and and he's brought me up in a certain way. So if you know, if I think something's wrong, then I'll say it. But he's one of them where he's never on right, and so that can cause a bit of friction. And so ultimately, you know, when I step back from the picture, I've got to an age where I'm able to pull myself out of that position. I look at it and think, well, he just wants what's best for me, but he's that stubborn that, you know, sometimes it turns into a bit of a clash. Or sometimes I'm the one to just swallow things. But you know, a lot of times when we have had, you know, big arguments and it's happened, I'm going to go on camera now and say it's happened in some of the very big fights, in world title fights it's happened, and there's been moments when we've fallen out during camp and stuff, but we've always managed to pull ourselves together, certainly on fight week, and then once the job is done, then it's not really spoken about again. And I remember it, of course, but me and him, we won't discuss it. It's like it's never happened. So it's you know, like I say, I can see that he only wants the best for me, you know, and that's it.
It's you know, as an outsider looking in, I would say it's a fantastic thing, and I think that you know, the boxing world, or your fans, you know, we see your dad as a fantastic character, but very much part of the Josh Warrington brand as well. I think it's really nice to see that type of relationship as well.
Thank you.
So, from Dortech's perspective, we're obviously absolutely buzzing to be supporting you, and obviously doing as much as we can for you. What was it about Dortech that attracted you and made you think that this could be quite a good fit for what you're doing?
Well, just I think I've been fortunate enough to have the support of yourself and the Dortech guys for over a number of years now. You know, being down here with different events and charity events and stuff, I've always been very welcomed. A lot of you, the Dortech staff have supported me long before, you know, we started speaking. So that's always been appreciated. Been a solid Yorkshire company as well. You know, it's a West Yorkshire company, robust, and just going through different bats of challenges and fights in your own ways in business. You know, but I'm right behind that. And I think that's I like having local businesses behind me and supporting me, and the partnerships that I've had over the years, you know, have lasted a very long time. And that's just because the people who were behind them, and obviously got to know yourself over many years, James. You I like what your ethos is, I like your drive and stuff like that. And obviously I've got a few of your products as well.
Yeah,
a good old solid.
I was going to ask you about those actually.
The solid Warrington door, which is when anyone who comes to my house have always it's like a safe door. This Josh is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So what you guys stand for, it's not just anything to get over the line. It's not just anything to just make a quid. You stand for being the best. You're being the best, and like I'm not going to say this because I'm sponsored by you. I'm not going to say this because of what I've done in the past, but you can see the quality is the best.
I mean,
I've never seen. We're talking about bloody doors here, but homeowner, and you want a solid door, just check out the doors. That's all I say, and they speak for themselves. And that ethos there is what you carry on, and it works hand in hand with myself.
It's incredibly kind of you to say so, because I was actually going to ask you about our products and what it was that attracted you to the products, but you've actually answered that.
At one point, I don't mind saying on camera, I've moved into a property, and I could only say that my door was like a rich tea biscuit. That's the way to kind of put it side by side.
The frame moved.
The front door, and I think in a couple for a lot of things in terms of like home efficiency, the keeping the cold out, and a lot of like wind and stuff like that, bits of a structural movement, and a lot of, unfortunately in this day and age, security as well. If you seem to be doing half all right or whatever, then you seem to get targeted a lot more.
Yeah.
And you don't. Last thing you want is when you've got a young family, especially, is your security. Your house is your sanctuary, isn't it? It's your nest, and once you close that door, you want to know that you're safe. But fortunately, that moment in time, I didn't feel safe until we got the Dortech door, and since that, like I say, many friends, family, even media team have come round and seen and couldn't believe the absolute quality of it, and it's certainly put a smile on my face and made me feel at peace when I closed the door. So to
keep your family safe, keep your house nice and warm.
Yeah, exactly.
Well. But from Dortech's perspective, I just want to extend like all our thanks and gratitude for your support over the years as well. It does mean a lot to us. I feel a lot of affinity in terms of your values, in terms of family, and your focus and your motivation in terms of your work ethic and
Thank you.
the type of energy that you put into your fights. It's not just the fight itself, it's everything that leads up to it.
Yeah.
But not just that, your openness and you're willing to talk to people like me, for instance. You treat everyone equally, and that's very rare from someone with your type of position. So on behalf of Dortech, I want to say a huge thank you for all the support that you've given us. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
If you had to say a few final words for your fans and for the people in Dortech, what would you like to say?
Well, first of all, thank you for those who are part of the Dortech team, and for those who are coming along on the night. Make sure you make the noise and bring some smiles.
We'll be making noise.
There'll be some smiles on the faces, and for the fans, especially those who were, following me through thick and thin.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough. Because it's been a bit of a journey over the last few years, but you've stuck by me, and that I can't ever repay you for that loyalty, because it's people are quick to move on to the next big thing. But I've got people who have travelled to the end of earth until my final day. Even if I were to lose my next 10 fights, by knockout, they'd still be there.
Yeah.
And you can't buy that loyalty. So I'm very, very grateful. I count my lucky stars every time I see these, people turning out and message me or speak to me about how much they want me to do it and stuff. So the loyalty will be rewarded on February 21st, and we're going to celebrate. And
we're going to see your hand
raised. Let good times roll once again, mate.
100%.
Yeah.
So Josh, so what does being a champion mean to you?
Good question, James. Good question. I think given my character, being a champion means a lot to me. It used to be when I was younger, it'd be a case of I just enjoyed when older folk maybe say out champ. That's a
Yeah.
like a with a ego kind of status thing. But and then as I've got older, and you've gone through your good days and your bad days, it's just looking at yourself as a character. And when I come to me, end of my career, when I look back, will be able to look back and then people still call you champ, have you lived that life? From where I've come from, like starting at the small shows, I was never a brilliant amateur. I never boxed for England, never boxed in the Olympics, where some people are catapulted into stardom instantly. I had to build mine on a journey coming up from 3 to 4 years of fighting up and down the country, like fighting some shows where I might have taken a car full of supporters over, to then fighting in people's backyards and then fighting on TV, whilst balancing a time where I was working as a dental technician, a day job, and I suddenly Leeds University as well. So 4 days a week at work, a day a week in university, then training as well, and trying to build a support network as well. And it's like looking back at all them different things, and not being denied. No one's going to hold me back. There's a lot going on in your life, but I still will not be denied. I will make it, and I will push on. I will go on, and then as you guys get older, you get to the success, and you get it. You are a champion. You should be happy, but never being happy, still wanting more. Maybe greed, maybe just so much fire and determination. And no one ever thought that I could be a British champion, a European champion, an international champion, a world champion. But I mean, why can't I be an undisputed champion?
Yeah.
Why can't I be a multiple-time world champion? That man in front of me, what's he got more than me? Does he want it as bad as I want it? Is he willing to sacrifice as much as what I'm willing to sacrifice? And but then when bad times happen, because it happens to a lot of human beings every single day of their life. We're the same. Professional athletes are the same. We go through turmoil, go through bad times, and then obviously when your bad nights come in the office, well, it's seen by bloody millions, isn't it? When you get knocked out on live on TV,
Stakes are high.
Your stakes are high, and when especially when everyone's in lockdown, they can't go anywhere, so they're all glued to the TV watching you, and you're like getting stretchered out the ring. Then it don't look great, is it? But then it's like, how are you going to come back from that? Are you just going to roll over and say, that's it, I'm done? Or are you going to act like a champion and get up and strive? And it's like, hopefully more of these people, in their day-to-day life, and not everyone's not boxers, not everyone gets bloody knocked out on national telly, but it's like, you can build up from hard times and hard turmoil, and no matter what, happens to you, keep striving, keep driving, keep chipping away, and eventually the good times will come again, and that's just it. And I'll carry on life until, like I say, the day's done.
Brilliant. So if you had to give some words to motivate people who are just getting into boxing, who have aspirations to become like British champion or European champion or whatever, what would you say to them? Because obviously we all have bad days, don't we?
Yeah. Again, what I'd say a lot of times, James, to the younger fighters is the race is long. Don't try to rush it. Don't try to rush it, because in your first stages of your career, you have supporters coming by, and they want to see you after 2 or 3 fights. They want to see you into big fights. They think that you're ready for it, but just take time. Take time. I turned pro at 18, and I gave myself 12 years to become British champion, and I achieved that after 4 years. But was I expecting that to happen? No. I didn't think it would come so soon. Certainly the way it did, but and in that first 4 years, I was eager. Of course, I was eager. I was like, I'm ready for him now. But look, people around me, just timed it right. Timed it when the opportunity was there and stuff. And secondly, bad days are going to come. That's a fact. You can sit there if you're listening to this and say that, everything's rosy and perfect in my life, but bad days are going to come, but they will pass. And it's life, and life's got a funny way of treating us, where you're on a pendulum, you go up and down, and some days it can be really bad, but then the good days can be really high. And then me and some of my friends and then their wives talk about this quite a lot. We say like, the boxing, the highs are up there, the highest of the high, winning and the adulation that you get, but the lows, the lowest low. Like even if it's coming off of like a tight decision, not the lows are down there. There's no in between. Yeah, but you just got to keep on driving every day. Just keep on driving, and when they come, just know that they'll pass. Know that they'll pass, and then the good times will come again. And when you're down there, you can only go higher, can't you? You can only go like build back up again. So like I say, it's not going to always be rosy especially for the younger boxers, but it's just a process.
Because the thing is, mental health is a big thing nowadays.
Massive.
Like, and particularly in terms of sort of competitive sports like boxing. So have you got any sort of words of advice or support that you could give people who are feeling that right now, who are feeling right on the bottom, who are feeling it's not worth persevering?
Well, massively, because again, a stigma of boxers is boxers are gladiators, aren't they? They're tough, they're physical, they get punched in the head, but they don't feel no emotion, like we're robots. But I'm just like anyone else. I've got emotions, I've got thoughts, I've got feelings, and as we said earlier in the pod, that there's been moments when I've learned to block out maybe hatred on social media and stuff like that, and maybe I've learned how to turn it into fuel and fire. But there's been moments when it has affected me. There's been moments when it hasn't tagged me, but have tagged my family, and that's affected me. And I can't really respond to that as much as when it's responding to me. So there's times when you are going to be down and stuff like that, and I think the number one is many charities have got this ethos is speak to somebody, and I feel that a lot of times over especially the last few years when I've had a bit of bad luck and fights not happening and coming off the wrong decisions, I feel that me just speaking to somebody, whether it be someone you know really close or someone you don't really know, sometimes you might don't want to give too much away that you've lots going on in your life and stuff, but sometimes hearing a set of ears what are not completely in your circle can give you another angle from an outside perspective. And I believe that, well, not believe, but I know this in fact now, that a lot of stuff that you build up here in your thoughts, and you go over certain situations, you build up. As soon as you start speaking and then words leave your mouth, as you're actually speaking at times, and I've done this over the last few years, some things that you've been making a big problem in your head, and then you speak about that problem, as it's coming out, you're thinking, that won't actually be a big problem. Yeah, it's not a big problem. I've been building it up as this and other, and as I'm actually saying the words, and I might finish my sentence and go, actually, that don't feel like, and I'll be trying to make it sound worse than it is, and actually, when I'm actually listening to myself say it, and waiting for that person's response, regardless how they respond, even me just saying the words, I'm like, do you know what, that's been building up on my head for 3-4 weeks, been sleepless nights because of that. But actually saying the words doesn't sound as bad as that it's just up there.
So important to talk.
So exactly. Yeah. So I think talking is a massive, and that'll be the first thing I want to do. It's just talking and just reach out. Yeah. Because there's not like you yourself, if you're going through bad times, there's many of us who are going through bad times, and you can pull each other up.
Yeah.
So,
It's so difficult, isn't it? Because when you sort of in that place where things feel very heavy and you've got a lot on your plate, it sometimes feels like you can't talk to someone, doesn't it? It feels like you're kind of very much on your own. And the difficulty, I guess, is just breaking out of that.
Well, ego, pride, and two of the things that would probably stop people from doing that. Embarrassed to reach out because but what do you want to do? Get to a stage where, you may be thinking of self-harming and stuff. And we see it all the time. We'll look at like the likes of late Rick. He's adored by so many. Where he's battling, and it's like could have just one conversation would change his mind, you know. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I think you know,
An incredible person, Ricky.
squash your ego,
Yeah.
squash your ego, and just people would rather listen to you and help you battle through your problems, rather than you thinking it's embarrassing and stuff like that. You know, you take more pride and they show more respect in the fact that you have been able to reach out.
So that was Josh Warrington. We're incredibly proud to be sponsoring and supporting Josh with his next fight with Leigh Wood on Saturday, the 21st of February. So keep your eyes peeled. Make sure you're watching. It's going to be an absolute banger, and we're going to see Josh raise his hand at the end of that fight. So we cannot wait.